In the Torah you have Chumash Reishis Shvois, then you have Midbar Dvarim, and in the center you have Vayikra. Which Chumash is the hardest Chumash? Vayikra. You don't have stories of Vayikra. Every word is a din there. It's all halachas. It's not halachas b'zman. It's all halachas kahana. Reishis Shvois is nice stories. Midbar Dvarim has stories. Dvarim is already a chazorah. Vayikra is all dinim. All dinim, it's all Teres Gehanim, and it's hard dinim the base of Mikdash, not dinim every day. And so that's cool that every plussing, every word, every letter is Gedarshin, why of extra vav and extra this. He learned Teres Gehanim in one day. One day he learned Teres Gehanim. So this is like this. Sif Derei Rav mi'aridor shuchomish of the Svarim. It's the hardest of the Svarim. That's why it's called an Arid. So to kill the lion means to break the hard sugya. When you have a hard sugya, and you manage to penetrate it and learn it, that's called that you killed the lion. You have to know what's called the gvura. And we'll talk about already the difference between a sunny day and a see here. So to all the newcomers, we're talking about a pasuk. Anyway, for you, we're talking about a pasuk that speaks about there was somebody called Ben Yehoyada. And it says he was the Chazan of all times. Not in the first temple, not in the second temple. What was his strength? He went into the pit on a snowy day and he killed the lion in the pit. So the Gemara says, what does it mean? He killed the lion in the pit. He learned Sefer Teres Kahanim, which is the center of the Torah, and it's called an Ari because it's the hardest of the books. He learned this whole book in one day, which was a snowy day. We're not going to talk about it. What it means a snowy day. So Taisa says that's why it's called the lion. And the Teicha Bor, what's the Teicha Bor? Because it's in the middle of the books, the middle of the pit, the middle of the Torah. Anyway, that's called killing a lion. What is it? What's a snowy day? The Targum Rav Yosef, this Targum from Rav Yosef, in the Gemara you will very often find Kinam Targum Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef was a big baki. He's called Sinai. He knew all the Targum. On Divrei Yom we have Targum Rav Yosef. And the Targum Rav Yosef, it combines the two pshatim. It says he killed. It says like this. First he went into a mikveh and he prepared himself to learn Torah b'Torah. He broke the ice and went into the mikveh, and then he learned Teres Kahanim. B'yoyim hashelek, on a snowy day. What's the snowy day? So it says there, Asara b'Tevis. We had a snowy day, Asara b'Tevis. That's Yoyim hashelek. Yoyim hashelek Asara b'Tevis.
That was this Haftorah. That was Haftorah.
No, but this was the snowy day, which brought all the snow, was Friday, which was a Asara b'Tevis. Yoyim hashelek.
Ben Yehoyada was in this week's Haftorah.
Was also
that David is Mitzav Shlomo to take care of Yob and Tzvi because he killed Ben Yob.
So Almai says that's a snowy day. Now, what does it have to do with Asara b'Tevis? Outside, that's the time of the year. It's interesting, Asara b'Tevis. Because that's like called the shortest day of the year, and it's cold day. Let's speak a little bit about this. What happened on Asara b'Tevis? On Asara b'Tevis, Yerushalayim, which is fascinating this year, Yerushalayim came into Matzor. Yerushalayim went into prison. They were surrounded, and nobody leaves out. Goes out of Yerushalayim, nobody goes in Yerushalayim. This year as well, Asara b'Tevis, Yerushalayim. The radio said Yerushalayim b'Matzor. They just was missing to finish the sentence. Matzor, Asara b'Tevis. Yerushalayim was locked up. Nobody could leave. Nobody can come in. You can't go from Bnei Brak to Yerushalayim. You can't go to Yerushalayim to Bnei Brak. You can't go to Beit. Yerushalayim was b'Matzor. But what is shepek? What is the concept of shepek? We have, everybody knows that it's a mashal, of course, but we speak about the fire of Gehenna. There's a Gehenna of fire, and there's a Gehenna of shepek. Snow, right? There's snow. What is the snow? Paralyzes everything. Everything doesn't move. The fire consumes everything. For Bitu, there's two parts of Avodas Hashem. There's Avodas Hashem b'kum v'asei, to learn Torah, like it says, Devar Hashem Baza, what's called Shnayim. We have, everybody knows this in the Seches Avos, but it doesn't. But what does it mean? Shnayim sheyoshnu, the Ein Beineim Divrei Torah. They're not speaking anything about Torah. They're just making jokes and was whiling away the time, and not because they need to relax. Not like it's all because let's live and enjoy. That's called Moishav Leitzim. It's called a Moshav of ridiculous is the making fun of life. Why is he making fun of life? Because life has a purpose. If a person takes time and destroys it, that's called that he doesn't, deep down he's expressing that this life in this world is purposeless. If a person deeply believes that life has a meaning, what is life? Life is time. Time is life, and life is time. They're one and the same. You know, if you eat, I once said, if you take, if you get malkut, you have a mitzvah loisas in Torah, negative precept, not to eat chazi. How much chazi you have to eat to get malkut? You get flogging 40 times. There's a shiur. How much is the shiur? Kazayas. Are you allowed to eat a chatzi kazayas? No. Chatzi shiur, asur, minatei. A small share, the smallest amount, is also forbidden in the Torah. So you're not allowed to kill someone. And you're not allowed to kill yourself as well. Right? If somebody kills himself, what does it mean to kill? Did you ever hear the expression, to kill time? Why to kill? That's chatzi shir, that's ma'abed atzmai ladas. That's suicide. That's a chatzi shir. That's like eating a half a kazayas of nevela. What's the difference when you kill somebody? You kill yourself. You took away your life. If you kill time, time is life. Killing of time is like suicide. It's partial suicide because that time is committing suicide. You're given time life, which with that you can do a mitzvah, and that's why we have the mitzvah of learning Torah, which surrounds us 24 hours a day. So if you don't have now to sleep, or you don't specifically need to eat, and you created off to relax, you've relaxed enough and you had your sleep for today and you had your food for today, and you just create something for pleasure to kill time, when you could learn a Mishnah or something else or do a mitzvah, that is, so what are you saying in different words? You're saying that life is meaningless. That's what your actions, you're not saying it, but that's what your actions are saying. That's called Moishav Leitzim. Because you're making litzonis, you're making ridicule of something which has value. You're taking life and ridiculing it as if it's purposeless. That's why the Tana calls it Moshe Leitzim. What is the Gehenna? You didn't do an Aveira. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't insult anybody. You didn't hurt anybody. You just innocently wasted time. So for that you don't get the Gehenna of fire, because there's nothing bad to be consumed, but you didn't use the time. That's the Gehenna of Sheleg. That's what Sheleg is. Sheleg means, in snow, everything becomes paralyzed. You behave as if you are paralyzed. You didn't use your capacities that Hashem gave you. You didn't use the gifts that Hashem gave you. So you snowed yourself in. You chose to be snowed in. So you get the Gehenna, Mida Keneged Mida. You get snowed. And this is what the Pasuk says if you sing the song Eshes Chayil on Friday night. Al tira leveisa misholech. Don't be afraid of going to snow, of a house of snow. Ki chol beisa lavu shonim. So there's a medrash. The medrash darshans like this. Al tikri shonim ela shnayim. I'm going to explain it. The whole Torah is in double language. Why? We have a mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. How does the Torah say? Hoshev Teshivim. Comes the Gemara and Darshans. Hoshev Teshivim. If you gave back and it got lost again, Afilu Me'er Pomim. Hoicheach Tochiach. Hoicheach Tochiach. Afilu Me'er Pomim. And so Chovel Tachbal. If you take a mashklin. All these times the Torah speaks double and says do it over and over again. Over and over again. So what does it mean? The way to succeed in mitzvahs is to be stubborn, to be in action. When don't you have to be afraid of snow if you are stubborn? Shnayim, you do it again, you didn't succeed, again, and again, and again. And that like this, there's a pasuk as well in Tilim. It speaks about a person has to be similar to the waves. You know, from the time, once upon a time, what's the pshat in the waves? Does that have a pshat in waves? Once upon a time, the water covered the whole universe. That's how it says. And came Yom Shlishi, and Kodesh Baruch Hu said, we have to create man. How's man going to exist in all this water? Yikovu hamayim al mokum echad v'seiroi yabosha. Let the water go into place. But since that time, Yikovu, the water wants to come back. It resents, so to speak, its place, being gathered into this one place. Yikovu is Miloshin Tikva, hope. They hope to come back to the original. They want to spread themselves over the whole world again. So those are the waves. The waves that keep on coming. This go with Pashet, but with Zeres Hashem, it doesn't work. The wave comes and it breaks. The wave comes and it breaks. It wants to go back to escape the gvulim, the boundaries that Hashem put it. So a person has to be in Avodas Hashem, in the serving of Hashem. V'shoy Galo, if he's like the waves, Atot the Shabchem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu praises him, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu admires this. This is the tikkun, this is the rectification on the Gehenna of Shelech. That's what the Pasuk says. Al tira leveso misholech. When don't you have to be afraid of the house of snow? Kichol beso lo shonim. When it's the word shonim, even in the pshat, shonim. What's a year? You know what a year is? A year it means it completed a revolution. What happens when you complete the revolution? Begin again. Come back to the same place. Kol beis lo shonim. You come back and you repeat itself over and over again. If a person is ready to be over Hashem, or even if he doesn't succeed, try again and again, and not get upset or get all right. I tried it; it doesn't go, and he goes over and over again. That is the tikkun. That's the rectification on Shelech. So now let's get back to Asar B'Tevis. What's the pshat in Asar B'Tevis? That's what Asar B'Tevis was. The surrounding. The surrounding. That's why it's called Yom. In a deeper eifel, we can understand why does the Targum Yosef explain that he hit the Ari, he killed the lion on the snowy day. What is it? We said the lion. We said it means he was a giba. He was a tazan. What's called a tazan? Kaivish Yitzhahara. Which kaivish which conquering is Yitzhahara? What's the main place to conquer Yitzhahara? In Kulvasei. He has Ish Ben Chai Rav Polim, full of actions. He took the hard sugya and he broke it through. He broke the snow in the sugya on the snowy day. It means the snowy day means the day that naturally the person wants to put himself in bed and do nothing. That's the Yom HaShelech. He wants to go to sleep. He conquered the Yom HaShelech. What's Asar B'Tevis? Actually, that's exactly what happened on Asar B'Tevis. When Yerushalayim, being surrounded, that means Yerushalayim represents the Mekar HaKadoshim, the source of all sanctification. Ki Nitziyayin, that's Yerushalayim. What's the end of the pasuk? Teitzei Torah. Teitzei! It has to go out. But if Yerushalayim is surrounded, it can't go out. Because the surrounding Yerushalayim, that means they're putting up a limitation on the Hispashtis HaKedusha, on the expansion of Kedusha. That means that's the bitul, the abolishment of Kumbasei, of Rav Pol, gathering the Pol of Torah. It's laziness, in different words. The einish of Tzorah Yerushalayim is the not being mitametz, not strengthening oneself in Avodas Hashem. And that's parallel to the snowy day, Yom HaShelech. What did Ish ben Yoya do? Ish Rav Polin ben Ish Chai. He didn't let the snow prevent him from serving Hashem. He didn't let the inner snow prevent him. He took the most difficult sugya on the most difficult day, and he broke it through. He broke the ice, toivel to the mikveh, and learned Teres Gehai. And that's the tikkun. That's the tikkun on Asar B'Tevis. That's the rectification of the chet of Asar B'Tevis. That's the pshat in this chazal. We had a living chai duba. That's what's fascinating. We had a living chai. We had a snowy day on Asar B'Tevis. But the tikkun of a snowy day is the pshat physically and spiritually to be misgabe the Torah, to be misgabe the Polim. And this I will connect this idea with, we begin now learning Pasha Shmois. The Ramban explains that will go from Asar B'Tevis to Pasha Hashem. We begin a new Chumash this week, and this new Chumash, the second Chumash, the Ramban gives it a name. The Ramban calls Sefer, we call it Sefer Bereishis and Sefer Shmos. The Ramban, in his Parish on the Torah, he gives these Chumashim different names. He calls Chumash Bereishis Sefer HaYitzirah, the Sefer of Formation, the Book of Formation. And he calls Sefer Shmos the Book of Exile and Redemption. Sefer HaGolut v'Hagulah. In other words, everything that's going to happen in the world is Yisaitis, the foundation of the world, everything that's connected with the foundation of the world, this is Sefer Bereishis. Everything that's connected with the all times, and it was the whole history of time, of being in Golus, being in exile and redemption, this is Sefer Shmos. Everything you find in Golus, you'll find in Sefer Shmos, and everything connected with Gula, you will also find in Sefer Shmos. And he says, it begins with Golus, and what's the last, but the Chayra, if it's about redemption, then Sefer Shmos should end with Pashas, perhaps Pashas B'Shalach. That's it, redeemed. No, you say no, Matan Torah. All right, Yisrael. But what's the building of the Mishkan? How does that get over there? The building of the Sefer Shmos doesn't finish till it tells all the details of the building of the Mishkan, until it tells the last pasuk in Sefer Shmos, tells us about the Hashros, the divine presence resting in the Mikdash. So he says because so here we have to get back to the statement of Chazal about the fathers. Ha'avos, when the Chazal want to explain us the madrega, the level of the fathers, the Chazal use a lashon. Ha'avos hein hamerkava. The avos are the chariot of Hashem. What does it mean, the chariot of Hashem? Hein hamerkava really, literally means that the Shekhinah was constantly, the divine presence was constantly resting on the earth. But how did they get to this point, to be honest? How did they get to this point? Because that's the mashal of the chariot. The Merkava represents all the Malachim, the whole Kvod Hashem, the whole serving of Hashem. But what does it mean in the mashal? When you have a wagon, and the susim are in front of the wagon, the horses are in front of the wagon, who is leading and who is being led? It looks like the horses are leading, they're in front. But who's controlling the horses? The drivers control the horses. The horses don't, the wagon, the horses don't go anywhere except where the master of the wagon wants them to go. And if not, it's a real problem. That's the pshat ha'avos heinu makol. The avos were like horses driving the wagon. The driver of the wagon is a Baruch Hu, and the whole world is his wagon. And they did not make a move or a thought which wasn't to fulfill the will of Hashem. If one reaches this madrega, this level, then that's the Merkava, and then the Shekhinah is resting on a person. If a person thinks every thought, what does Hashem, Va'ata Yisrael, Ma Hashem Elokecha Shoymach. Now, what does Hashem want from me? The Chavetz Chaim says, there's a pasuk like that. Va'ata, now what does Hashem want from me? The Chavetz Chaim says, you know what Hashem wants from me? He doesn't want you to think about what you did a minute ago. He doesn't want you to think what you're going to do the next minute. Va'ata. He wants you to think this second. What does Hashem want from me this second? Va'ata. That's all Hashem wants. Every second to think, what can I do now, which is the Ratzon Hashem? How can I fulfill the will of Hashem right now? The others were 24 hours a day in this state. That's called Hamikol. Now, when you're in this state, you're in contact with Hashem. Anything less than this is called Galut, being in exile. Because the Am Yisrael, the man was made to be the potential of man, and the actualization of his potential is this level. And that's the language of the Ramban. The Sefer Shmos ends with the Hashros Hashchina Mikdash, because one is called in Golos Ad Sheshavu El Malat Avotam. Till they returned to the Maila of their fathers, they're considered in Golos. Because what's Golos? The Golos means displacement. You have an Neshama El Yoina. The person has a soul that's connected with Hashem. And that soul is imprisoned in this physical body and doesn't have any pleasure from this physical body. So as long as this physical body moves the soul away from its source. The whole will of the soul is to return to the Kisei HaKavod, the seat of honor of Hashem, so that person is in Golus. He's displaced. He's not in the right place. So the Gula, that means to return to the place, to be in connection with the place where the soul comes from. And that's the total dedication to Tzor Hashem. And Golus begins when the person... We have a lot of competition for that. Competition. So they have to overcome the competition. It's Yom HaShelek. It's a snowy day. Am Yisrael, do mitzvahs. That's what we're talking about. We're all saying the same thing. Vayokom melech chodosh. The Torah begins to tell us the beginning of the Golus. And the Torah uses this language. Vayokom melech chodosh al Mitzrayim asher lo yoda es Yosef. The concept of renewal is a ruchniistic concept. There's many different ways of explaining this pasuk. The pasuk tells us there was a new king. And what was this new king? He didn't know anymore Yosef. He forgot all the favors that Yosef did. New king. On the other hand, when the Torah speaks about redemption, the first thing the Torah says, this is one idea. This is an idea in itself. Let's speak this idea. The Golus begins with there's a new king in Egypt. That's how the Torah describes it. Chodesh, new, something new. On the other hand, when the Torah tells us, when Moshe comes, that we're finally holding by the redemptions, and the parasha that we have of the redemption is HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. I'm giving the power of renewal to you. The concept of renewal, if you are renewed, that's the concept of eternity. We have a mitzvah in the Torah. Hashem Lechi B'Tzavcha Hayim. The mitzvahs should be as if you receive them today. Or in a different way, let's speak about it. When a person takes himself in hand, at any minute, it makes no difference. Let's go back to the pasuk V'Yatok, and now. A person could have been, the guy in the Gra explains this, a person could be a Russia. That's the beauty of free will. Every minute we have free will. And a person could even be a Russia his whole life. But at one point, he takes himself in hand, he's like a Beria Chadosha. He's like a new creation. Whenever he takes himself in hand, that means he decides to use the gift of free will which was given to him, and to strengthen himself against the other forces in himself that draw himself away from the Ratzon Hashem. And he decides now he's conquering his Yetzer Hara, he's not going to do a mitzvah, whatever it may be, whether it be chesed, whether it be tefillah, whether it be minat, whatever it is, a pulat tova, a good action, that he takes himself in hand against his nature to do a mitzvah to help someone, or to do a mitzvah to understand something of Torah, or to have more intention, more concentration on the words that he's saying in tefillah, to identify, to connect more with his prayer. Anyone who knows that those are the three things what the Olam Haba is made of. Torah, we're all Tinok Shenishba, right? But when we take ourselves in hand, so we become a Beria Chadosha. That's redemption. That's Gula. That's Yetzias Mitzrayim. Vayokom Melech Chodesh means when Am Yisrael lost their contact with newness, with renewing themselves, the Chidush, the power of renewness, went to the Goyim. They became a new king in Mitzrayim. But the Gula is, Yetzias Mitzrayim is to control Yisraelim. Till one gets, and if one does this constantly, one is Nischadish, Korega, Berega, one renews himself every minute, one thinks, what's the Ratzon Hashem? One is constantly in the state of Chidush. That's how Ovis Heineina Makova. That's Gula. That's Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's Ashras Ashchina. That's B'nai Beis HaMikdash. That's the Mishkan. That's Sefer Shmois. Sefer Shmois is Golus and Gula. The Gula is the taking oneself in control. The self-control to do mitzvahs, whether it's Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasadim, that's Hashras Hashchina, that's Gula, that's B'nai Beis HaMikdash. The letting of life go on its natural run, so to speak, to put the life, to let the life be in what we call today automatic pilot, or if you want to say that they made a FFH, filled from habit, that is Yitzia, that's Shibud Mitzrayim. That's putting fruit from habit is automatic pilot. That's life without chidush. That's not exactly hikes aribi or masheleg. That's getting into the sheleg. That's Yushalayim b'matzor. That's Yushalayim surrounded and with no kedusha. That's Asar b'tevis. That's the beginning of Churban Beis Hamikdash. The beginning of the redemption of the Beis Hamikdash is to break the snow on the snowy day. That's to break through the snow, to break all the obstacles, and take the obstacles, to take the lion by his teeth and break the teeth of the lion and say, I'm going to learn the truth here, and I'm going to understand what's going on here, and I'm not going to let the snowy day and the snow in my side myself paralyze myself, but I'm going to be an Oived Hashem, to build the Shechina, to become Bashros Hashem. That's the Shechina.
You redeemed us on a snowy day. Well, at least we saw the lion in action.